This is a video I've been debating back and forth on whether or not I want to actually make it for the last few weeks, and I wasn't originally going to do it because I feel like it's a topic that's really been sort of beaten, especially over the last few weeks with the announcement that the PS5 will only be able to play PS4 games, and a load of people have basically already had their takes, and they're kind of everything that needs to be said about the subject. But I feel like there's a few aspects of this topic that doesn't really get talked about a lot, or if they have, I've not seen those sort of takes on the subject. So this is what this video is all about. I just want to give my perspective on backwards compatibility and why it's important to me and why I think that it should be actually a feature as standard going forward. And feel free to drop your comments in the comment section below if there's anything that I miss, if you disagree with anything I have to say in this video. Let's get a light-hearted and casual discussion going. I'm not going to flame anyone for disagreeing with me, and hopefully everyone's mature enough to not do the same with me. So here are the reasons why I think backwards compatibility should be a standard feature in every console going forward. You hear it all the time from people. If you want to play old games, just buy an old console. And that logic has been around literally since console sequels were getting released. You know, people said the same thing when the PS3 wouldn't play PS2 games, and when the PS4 wouldn't play PS3, PS2, or PS1 games. And it was a sound argument for before, but it doesn't quite work in 2020, and here's the reason why. Tech doesn't last forever. The PS1 originally came out in 1994 in the West. That makes the console now nearly 30 years old. You go on eBay, you go to CX, you go to Game, try and find yourself a working PS1. It's possible, but most of them that you buy are going to have some sort of issue with it. Maybe it won't work at all. There's some absolutely terrible conditioned PS1s out there. These consoles are a lot older than people seem to think they are. Even the PS3 is going on 15 years old. If you can hear fireworks in the background, I'm filming this on bonfire night here in the UK, so there's going to be fireworks all over the place. So I do apologise if that's translating on camera. Even the PS3 is 15 years old. Well, nearly 15 years old. It came out in 2006. It's 2020, so next year it'll be 15 years old. But that's quite old for technology. And there's a lot of tech that sort of dies in that amount of time. And these consoles are older than people give them credit for. And gaming history needs to be preserved. The PlayStation 1 has a load of classic games. Many games that solidified my childhood. You know, I've got Game Boy games that are younger than the PS1 that don't work anymore. I've got consoles that are younger than the PS1 that don't work anymore. And we might have fallen lucky, maybe got a perfectly working PS1. They are still out there. But give it 10, 20, 30 years, how many working PS1s do you think you're going to be able to find in that time? We need to protect gaming's history. Little fun fact for you. Did you know there's as much time between now and 1990 as there is between now and 2050? That's how fast time moves. I don't want to bum everybody out here, but 1990, there are consoles that exist now from 1990. A lot of them don't work anymore. A load of people's history of gaming is in the 90s. That's the 2040s. That's the 2050s, and that same length of time. By that point, the PS1 will be, what, 60 years old? How many years are we going to let this get to before we decide we need to protect gaming's history? You know, even the original Xbox is going on 20 years old. The PS2 is going on 20 years old. The GameCube is going on 20 years old. You know, list any classic console, even something as recent as the PS3 and the Xbox 360, have got enough time there now where you're going to be hard pushed to find working units of these consoles. And yeah, okay, you could probably walk into a game or a CEX, or if you're in America, GameStop or whatever, and pick yourself up a working PS3. But how many of the PS3s sold originally still work? And as time goes on, the number of working units is just going to go down. Backwards compatibility is something we need to have a standard going forward. It's about preserving gaming's history. These consoles don't last forever. A lot of them have got enough history now where we're starting to just see the numbers of them completely deplete. It's been over 20 years since the PS1 they even stopped the production of them. So those are the newest PS1s. You got people like Jim Ryan, who works in Sony, saying people don't want to play classic games. They want to see games with good graphics. Yeah, they do. They do want to see games with good graphics, but they also want to play classic games. I would love to be able to throw on my PlayStation and play Jade Cocoon, or play something else from my childhood, Breath of Fire 3, or something else I used to play. My mind is Pandemonium. There we go. There's another game I used to play when I was a kid. I'd love to be able to just put those in my PlayStation. Why can't I? Yeah, I want to play new games with great graphics, but I also want to play old games with shit graphics. Because it's nostalgia. Because I want to play those games. Why take away the option to be able to play those games just because they're not as good as today's games? We need to preserve gaming's history. And keeping old consoles is not the way to do it. That's more of a collector's thing, because as time goes on, those consoles are going to degrade. Mechanical parts in electrical devices aren't the most... They don't really like time. I've got mobile phones that are 2 years old that don't work anymore. 2 years. Phones and consoles, they're different things. But it all boils down to the same thing. Technology doesn't last forever. I admire the work that the people who run emulator sites are doing, because they understand this. They understand preserving games history is a very important thing to do. But it's also on Sony, it's on Microsoft, it's on anybody else who makes consoles, who've got a rich history of making consoles. It's on Nintendo. Nintendo were doing a great job of releasing classic games on the NES. Even if Sony wanted to add a load of games to PlayStation Now, just add them. Add PlayStation 1 games, add PlayStation 2 games, add PlayStation 3 games. At the moment, the PS2's list on PlayStation Now is so small. It's embarrassingly small. There's nothing on there that I want to play. Every single PS1, PS2, and PS3 game needs to be backed up on PlayStation Now if that's the route they want to go down. Microsoft have done a great job as well with the Xbox Series X and its backwards compatibility. From what I've heard, from the reports that are coming out, that's a great thing as well. This report's mainly aimed at Sony, but also to the people that say if you want to play old games, buy old consoles. That argument doesn't work now. It worked 20 years ago when the PS3 was 10 years, when the PS1 was 10 years old. It worked 10 years ago when the PS2 was 10 years old. This tech is now getting on 30 years old. If we leave it another 10 years, it'll be 40 years old. If we leave it another 20 years, it'll be 50 years old. How much time do we leave it before we decide that backwards compatibility is important and these games are gone for good? Drop a comment in the comment section below. Let me know where you stand on this debate, and let's get a light-hearted discussion about this. But that's where I stand. Backwards compatibility should be a standard feature going forward. It's a pivotal time now. The technology is old enough to where it's going to start showing its age, but not so old that it's too late to actually do something about it. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.